Welcome, everybody, to Game of the Month discussion number 34. How have we been doing this for 34 months? That is so long. Cool stuff. But anyway, this month's game for March was the one and only Super Nintendo showcase, Staar Fox. So joining us today, we've got some familiar faces here with SMWiz, and then glad to see ThisMachineWill and Jedi joining us once again for the discussion. Awesome, and this time we got Jedi on camera. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Either way, we want to roll here. Either way is good. Yeah, how's it going? Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this month.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
All right, so who wants to kick it off with their first experience with Staar Fox for Super Nintendo?
I vote for Wiz.
Hey, nose goes, man. Okay. So I actually didn't play this one until late. I think college was the first time that I played this one. My introduction to Star Fox was Star Fox 64, which played bajillion hours of clearing all the paths and getting all the endings and stuff. But yeah, that was like my introduction to the franchise in general. So I didn't even know there was one that came out before it. And then found out about it, but long out of print at that point, so I didn't pick one up until college.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got started on Star Fox 64, honestly, but I'm just gonna have to, we're just gonna point out your Star Fox shrine that you got going on there real quick, but I'm going to just be that guy and say you're missing one called the Super Nintendo Classic for Star Fox 2.
Oh, that's good point.
You want me to go get my NES Classic too, or my SNES Classic? Or maybe I should go get the official Nintendo shirt for Star Fox 2.
There you go.
If I'd been thinking about it, I could have done that.
I could have worn my Star Fox shirt today too.
The SNES Classic is hooked up to that TV behind me.
Well, you don't need the actual system; you just get the box.
Oh my! That's how you want to play it? Oh no!
We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
We're not doing it.
We're doing this. No! You started this. You started this. Okay. You guys go on without me. I'll be back.
I win.
All right. I guess I'll go next then. So, Star Fox Super Nintendo version. I did rent this one a lot back in the day on my Super Nintendo. There was actually a point in time where I was not able to beat the game unless I was playing it on this 3-inch black and white portable TV that for some reason we had floating around the house that just showed up one day. I have no idea where the frick that thing came from. I have no idea where it went, but there was a point in time where I would just hook my Super Nintendo up to it just for the novelty, I guess, because it's just this tiny little thing, and so someone else is using the TV and I'm just litting. And that was the only way I could beat Star Fox for a while, so there we go. But Route 1 is Route 1's my go-to whenever I want to play that game. I need to do more with Route 3. I enjoyed Route 3, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. So, Will, what was your introduction for Star Fox?
Yeah, so with me, I actually was a Smash guy. I had it on GameCube Melee. Fox is in it. Curious, knew that he was in Star Fox 64. And then one day I kind of had this collection of Super Nintendo games, and Star Fox was in it. So I was like, huh, Star Fox on Super Nintendo, that seems kind of strange. Pop it in, see this very primitive 3D, and go, huh, this almost doesn't feel right. Tried it out for a little bit, said this wasn't for me, and then I never touched it until this game of the month. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna play it, see what this is about. So that was my experience.
Yep. All right, Jedi, how about you?
Well, this was actually my childhood game, actually. Yeah. So downtown, they actually had a store where they sold old school games, and this was one of the games that I got for my birthday. So, yeah.
Excellent.
It felt like a childhood adventure when I saw you play it. Route 3 was challenging as a kid, but as an adult, it's like a piece of cake.
Oh,
Cool.
man. Oh,
Hey,
there it
Zach.
is. There it is.
Oh,
He
shoot.
unhooked it too.
Nice. Now
I
there's
keep
too much Staar Fox 2 rep.
Oh my
I
gosh.
keep my receipts.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I'm too lazy to go to my closet and fish through my shirts for the
Here.
one that I needed.
Here, guys. Don't worry. I've got Staar Fox 2, and Staar Fox 64 on display right now too.
Oh,
Anyway.
There it is.
Anyway. All right. So let's start off with the story for Staar Fox 64 here. So there's it's a Super Nintendo game, so this is just the era where you get a lot of the backstory in the actual physical manual. But I appreciated Staar Fox having like the pre-mission briefings as you would play through the game to like kind of get a better grasp of like briefings. I don't know if you could call them briefings, but like I thought that was a cool touch. I thought that was a great touch. It really adds to the experience as you play the game. Like, what do you guys think about the overall story of Staar Fox 64? Like, it's not the most in-depth thing. And I mean, to be honest, none of the Staar Fox games until you get to GameCube really are in-depth. So I guess that's only Staar Fox 64. So never mind that discussion point.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the N64 one, you've got a whole, story of, betrayal and the lost father,
Yeah, I guess that is a nice addition compared to the original, because Staar Fox 64 is essentially just a reboot of the original Super Nintendo version. In the grand
Yeah, but I
scheme
would
of
agree with you. Super Nintendo, it seems like to me, playing it for the first time, and I haven't really played Star Fox games before, so I don't really know the story very well. But it being a Super Nintendo game, I'm like, this seems to be one of those games where you need to read the manual to really understand what's going on, or watch the commercial, whatever is out there.
Shout out to Super Mario
well-
Land from last month.
Yeah, but it's like it is kind of cool. You do get those briefings. That's as much story as you get. So story-wise, again, doesn't matter. Gameplay's fun. Story's there, I guess, if you want it. Yeah.
Well, see, that's the problem. When you're a story like centric person, the lack of story, like no matter how good the gameplay is, sometimes the lack of story can make you lose interest in it a lot quicker than you normally would.
True.
And I mean, that's the double-edged sword. When you have only story, and if the story is not keeping you involved, like that's when the gameplay makes up for it. So if you have crappy gameplay and a boring story, it's like, man, this is just a bad game.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I feel that.
but anyway, that's not this game.
Kind of would agree.
I mean, at the same time too, though, we talk about like not having enough story. Remembering though, like games of the era, it's like it's the manual, right?
Yeah,
And that's when
exactly.
they do have a story. Like you look at fighting games, it's funny now how much lore they put into fighting games.
Dude.
Whereas old arcade
Yep,
fighters were like, this guy and this guy are gonna punch each other in the face. Why? Because
Dude, Street Fighter 2,
Because-
like all the different character endings were like so cool. Like you didn't know why they were doing it unless you read the manual per se, but like you got a like legit ending for these characters, and like every single one of them in Street Fighter 2. And like as the additions added the more characters, you got more endings. And it was like, this is cool. But yeah, so I mean, basic plot summary for Staar Fox if no one's ever heard it. But Andros invades Corneria. He's trying to take over the galaxy, so Corneria hires the mercenary group Staar Fox to go and take out his freaking jerk butt and kick it back to Venom where he belongs. So
That's it. You summed it up.
yeah, there's not much there. There really is not much there. So like getting brief little conflict overviews or world overviews for the brief. I'm not even remembering what they said. I'm sorry. I just it went in one ear and out the other. One eye out the other. I don't know. But
Yeah.
like I appreciate that extra level of detail that they added to a game that is that simplistic for its narrative. Let's put it that way. So again, Staar Fox 64, yeah, greatly expanded on. They added a lot more themes to it, and obviously a lot more going on in the levels, but that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Talking about the briefings, I will say that it's cool for a game of that time to be doing some like faux voice acting and stuff. Having the models talk and everything, like animating their mouths and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that's a nice little touch. Like, that's a kind of standout thing that you didn't get in games that era.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good point.
I it would have been cool if like they talked about more of what was going on in the level, like they do in later Star Fox games, because usually they just pop up to say, "Hey, I need help," or "Hey, I'm gonna go attack this guy," but they might occasionally give you a hint on how to take out the boss. But it would have been cool if they had been able to squeeze in just a little bit of more chatter of what was going on. I think the only levels that really do it is Armada level on like level 1 when you're about to go inside the little thing. Slippy's like, "Hey, should we go inside that or what?" Like essentially,
Yes.
and that's like about it from what I can remember in this most recent playthrough, a couple weeks ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, if you wait for the intro, if I'm not mistaken, you wait for like the intro, it kind of gives you like a little vision of what's happening. So like the first boss comes out of nowhere and brings out the little robots out of their hands and stuff. So it kind of tells you like, hey, there's an invasion, you know.
Yep.
So it kind of gives you a little brief.
Yeah, there is that opening cutscene. I forgot all about that. Thank you for reminding us there. So yeah, that was a cool little addition. But also to what you were saying, Wiz, there are some actual voiced lines in this game. Because in the very first level, when you're playing it, you get emergency, emergency, incoming enemy aircraft, like prepare to launch, or whatever it was. And that's when the level starts. And then at the end, you get... Yeah, you got good luck. And then at the end, after you beat the game, before or after the credits, I don't know, but you get a call from Corneria, talking about like, good job, you win. So
this is Cornelius.
yeah, so there is some voiced work in this game for 1992, which is just really cool for a Super Nintendo game. Yeah, it's a Super Nintendo game.
Do we know how big the game is? That's what I'm saying. How big is the game?
It's not very big. No, it's not very big. I don't remember how big it is off the top of my head, but it's not very big. I mean, the biggest Super Nintendo game, I think, was like 5 megabytes? Maybe 4? No, that's right. Super Street Fighter 2 for Genesis, I believe, is 5 megabytes. And then I think the biggest ones on Super Nintendo are 4 megabytes. But
I think this one might be a little bit bigger because of the sound effects part.
No, that's just hardware. That's not part of the game.
If you trust Google, it's saying that it's around a meg.
Ooh.
I'd believe it.
Huh.
Realize too, Nintendo is the champion of data optimization.
That's true.
Nobody compresses or code optimizes like Nintendo does.
Dude, no one bothers optimizing or compressing anymore today at all. Take a look at modern games; they're atrocious.
Well, as I said, Nintendo though, Breath of the Wild base game is about 13 gigs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Completely insane.
But yeah, one of the things that made Star Fox like a highlight of its day, the Super FX chip being included. So, the Super FX chip was just an add-on chip for the board that would give additional processing power to push, in Star Fox's case, its 3D visuals. So, the game is using, I believe, like it actually is using polygons. And it's very simplistic, obviously, but it provided a very unique visual style that, I'm not gonna lie, I still think it holds up. Like, if you are able to make this game, have it run at an actual stable frame rate, not fast forwarded if you overclock the Super FX chip, kind of like what you get, and released it today, I think people would love it. Like that art style. Like, I think people would love that art style just as a throwback. Like, I know I would.
If they up the frame rate so that it's like a right frame rate and all of the like the sprites on screen, you got to modernize all that, and then I would agree with you, that could be pretty cool.
I don't even know if the sprites need to be modernized though. Like, it's not actually sprites, I guess. There's a couple
I'm just saying that there needs to be more on the screen, because if there's more than like 6, 7, 8, then the frame rate
Well,
just
yeah,
tanked.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
just increasing the power behind it.
Why aren't you blasting things on the screen?
Get good.
No, I'm like, look, it's a very simple. If it moves, it dies.
Yeah, it's true.
Very true.
Actually, now that I think about it, someone did make a Star Fox SNES inspired indie game that I was following at one point before it came out. I don't know if it ever came out or not, and I can't remember what it was called. Crap, I need to look that up. But it was literally.
Hold on. I'm gonna pull up my Steam wish list because we may have been following the same game.
But it was literally like Super Nintendo era Star Fox clone, and it's like that might be interesting to try after we have this discussion. But
that would be cool.
But yeah, for 1992 though, like this is incredible to see on a home console because like obviously it's Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16/PC Engine. These aren't 3D systems. So you have a game that is fully 3D in it, and it's nuts despite its performance limitations. We didn't care about that at the time. Like, it was cool to see, it was cool to play, and like the Super FX, like anytime you wanted to see more Super FX after that, it's like, oh man, this game, I want to see if it's Super FX, but it's like nothing else was really Super FX on the Super Nintendo after that point. We had like Doom and then Super Mario World 2, and those are the only two I could think of off the top of my head that use Super FX. And technically, I think Super Mario World 2 used like a variant of Super FX, like Super FX 2 or something. I don't know. Someone can actually me that later.
Was the game you were looking at X Zodiac?
I have no idea, dude.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, yeah, there's X Zodiac, which is the one I was following because it looks like, Super Nintendo Star Fox. And then if you're thinking of something slightly sillier, there's Whisker Squadron Survivor, which is Star Fox but cats.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Anyway, y'all can check those out. Make those Steam indie devs happy by looking at those. Give them a wish list or something. I don't know. But anyway.
So, hey, I have a quick question, actually.
Yeah.
So
share with us. Share with the class.
Is this still considered a 16-bit game, or did the cartridge, since it had the Super FX chip, did that boost it to 32, kind of like a 32X? Do we know?
Dude, that would actually be an interesting thing to debate. Like,
that's what right? It's like a 32X.
That's interesting because it doesn't change. Yeah, it doesn't change the processor on the Super Nintendo, but you are kind of supercharging it with an extra chip.
Yeah, it adds a coprocessor to it to do more to it. So I mean, there's an argument to be made that you could call it like one of the first 32-bit quote unquote games. I mean, it's probably. I mean, the people that are like super into the tech specs, technical details of something, be like, dude, you guys are idiots. But I mean,
I
mean,
we're looking up some stuff.
But I mean, like, there could be an argument made that it's like the first glimpse of what 32-bit could bring to the table. Like, I'm not going to say it is 32-bit, but I mean, there's an argument to be made.
Yeah.
Because it looks very similar to Star Wars Arcade on the 32X. Like, a lot more primitive compared to it, but it looks reminiscent.
Yeah.
Anything
coming up with?
Well, that's the sorry, quick reading. I was like, yeah, so apparently it's a coprocessor on the graphics support unit.
Not the CPU side, yeah.
Yeah, so not CPU side. I'm like, interesting. I'm trying to find someone who will tell me like some actual specs on this because I'm getting, clock speeds, but I'm not getting like actual power on the chip.
Yeah.
But no, there's gotta be.
It's obviously a 16-bit game, but I'm willing to like make the argument that it's the first foray into what the 32-bit world would offer on consoles.
Because 32-bit, that was like the introduction to like kind of primitive 3D. But I think that this is even more, because when I think 32-bit, I'm thinking like PlayStation.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
thinking, like, Metal
PlayStation
Gear
and Saturn
Solid.
are the first like major 32-bit systems, and I mean
Yeah.
that's the reason why Star Fox 2 didn't come out, because PlayStation had released in Japan and its 3D capabilities were so much better, obviously, than what the Super Nintendo and Super FX chip could have. And so they canceled Star Fox 2 even though the game was finished. Because they didn't want people to be like, why on earth would I want to play that piece of crap compared to...
And this is what happens when you care about what a game looks like instead of how it plays.
Pretty much.
True.
Pretty much.
It was a sad day for us fans.
But then in 2017 we got it. Like, you're like, where's this little Super Nintendo classic down there? Look, we got it finally. It's there. Ha
I love that when they do that.
And it's available right here too. Yeah.
The only games that I could come up off the top of my head was Star Fox 2, and then they did Mother 1. And I think all we need now is Mother 3. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Hey Reggie. Wait, what?
I was like, don't bother that poor man. He hasn't worked at Nintendo in years. He still gets asked about Mother 3 all the time. People hit him on Twitter and stuff.
Have you seen some of the posts he's put out about that? Like, since he quit, he's like, I don't work there. I don't effing care anymore, essentially.
Well, because he's getting harassed by a bunch of nerds online about something that he has no control over.
Oh, no.
It's just so a meme funny. Now, right?
It is a meme now.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so yeah, Super FX chip
yelling at a quarterback who retired a decade ago.
Yeah, right.
People do that too, though, man. Like,
oh my god.
Anyway.
So
playing Star Fox today on the Super FX chip, it's very primitive. It's very simple polygons. It's all triangles, like, but they create a unique aesthetic that is super cool to see, but it comes at the expense of having a much smaller screen resolution compared to other Super Nintendo games. You'll notice that there's massive black borders on it. And the fact that there's like no real texture work to be found on any of it, because again,
you can't do textures.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It's chugging along with just the polygons. Like, try adding textures to that. I'm pretty sure you're gonna tank the poor thing even further. But there are levels that have some nice details to them. Like Fortuna. Like, isn't there like you got the water in one part of it, and then you got like, am I misremembering it? Like, there was a part that kind of looked like grass a little bit when you're flying through the flowers, or am I just like, I just forgotten in the last 2 weeks?
Are you talking about when you get attacked by the dragonflies?
Kinda. I think that's probably the area.
The last part towards like the two-headed chicken.
Yeah, right before that, I think.
Yeah, it's the one where like all the plants come out and you have to avoid them.
Yeah.
And there's like little things that are like coming out with like the little balls of electricity, and they're trying to shoot you.
Yeah,
and you're just trying to avoid it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm misremembering here. But like, and then the other levels where you have the rocks in the environment. So like, they were able to provide
like the
more.
You're saying?
Are you talking about Macbeth?
Macbeth and the one right before Venom on level 1, whatever level that was. I can't remember the name. So you actually have like the giant boulders you have to navigate through.
Yeah, like asteroids.
The giant spider.
Yeah, the spider UFO guy.
Yeah.
And then of course the asteroid bite levels have a crap ton of asteroid sprites that are flying in your face.
Yes, and the one with the scary face.
Oh man. So there's that's a good segue to talk about how there's 2 secret levels to this game that I never knew existed until I did the retro achievement set, because I just never cared enough to like explore like that. But what the heck? So on level 1 in the asteroid level, you can shoot all of the asteroids in a certain segment, and then there'll be a weird one with a face that you shoot, and it'll open up a black hole that'll take you to level 2's like second, third to last level. And then on level 3 in the asteroid level, if you blow up a big asteroid, a friggin' space bird will come out and take you to a teleporter that takes you to a friggin' space casino.
Yes. I had no idea.
I never
There's
knew it
other things
either, and that was ridiculous. You literally fly through the level. It's an acid trip. It's all like this and all nasty and like headache inducing. And then when you finally reach the end, you're fighting a slot machine. And you have to roll a 777 to kill it. Otherwise the fight just goes on until you die and run out of lives.
Wow.
Yep.
It was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen in my life, man.
little part
Seems fair.
of the casino coins, they restore your health.
Yes, they do restore your health if you get the coins. But if you get Andros I think it was Andros on any of them, then enemies come out and attack you. And it's just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever spent time on. Yet here we are.
And then somehow also they put copyright music of when the scenes come marching in.
Yep. It did use that. It was so funny.
That'd be an acid trip.
It was not okay, man. Not okay, but whatever. I mastered the retro achievement set for that game, so I don't care.
Congratulations.
But yeah, let's talk about the levels for a little bit, because Route 1, Level 1, I feel is like really the only level I think people need to play in this game, essentially. Personally, like, it's got a great balance. It's got such a good balance of like difficulty and fun to it. It's just like so nice. Like, blow through it in about 30-ish, 40-ish minutes, and it's like, yeah, that was fun. I feel good. I saved Corneria. And then you go to level 2, and it's like, and now I hate myself. It's like, it starts off okay. Starts off okay. Then the little things start adding up for the ridiculous crap they pull on you. It's like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, I hate level 2. Holy crap. It was not a fun level.
Yeah, everything you're talking about Sector Y with the Stingray level.
Yeah, that was nonsensical. Oh, man.
You're killing the Stingrays. How dare you, man?
I will kill them all.
The live.
I will kill them all for what they did to Steve Irwin.
Villain, too soon.
It's been like 20 years.
Yeah, this is my first time. This is my first time playing it through. Like the whole. That was my first run through. Was this first stage path, I guess, of the 3, and it was pretty cool. Again, I was really impressed, like you were saying, with the technology of it being 3D. I thought it would be like, all right, it'll be like a little kind of gimmick, novelty kind of thing. But it was really cool. I was surprised by how much fun I was having it in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I was like, oh man, if this had a crosshair, that would make it perfect.
Yeah.
Which they added in 64. And then as you progress, you're able to go first person, and then you have a crosshair, and you're like, whoa. Like,
only in
great.
space levels, though. Only in the space-based levels, because for reasons.
Well,
they put you in the cockpit for those levels.
But I think if you press select, you can choose whether it's third or first, because that's what I learned, is that you could choose.
Only in space levels, though, because in the other levels, it's just in and out. Like, you can zoom your ship further in or have it further out, but in space levels, you could go into the cockpit.
That's actually a strategy in case you want to do a break against some certain enemies, because I learned that as I was playing the game as a kid. So if you go like closer and you do a break, you actually avoid a lot of the blasting. And you do a double barrel roll, so it's like easy peasy on the avoiding.
What's up with the barrel rolls? Because I feel like, why do you have to do a barrel roll in this game?
It deflects incoming shots like in 64. It's just not as visually. It's just not as visually represented as it is in 64. But yeah, you'll reflect the shots off. Check your G diffuser system.
Or with Pepe's famous line, do a barrel roll.
Yeah. See, Staar Fox 64 is one of my all-time favorite games. Like, I adore that game. I adore Staar Fox 64. But it's like, Super Nintendo version, I appreciate it, and I enjoy most of it, but there's enough there that it's like, alright, with just a level 1 playthrough today. But I will say this. Level 2, I think, is... Level 2? Okay. Anyway. Level 2, I just do not enjoy. There's very I can't say anything nice about level 2. I'm sorry. Like, you got the first 2 stages, they're fine. After that, it's just, I got nothing nice to say, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. You know, we're going to go back to, if you don't got anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all about level 2. But level 3, I had never played level 3 until this game of the month, because level 2 pissed me off so much I just never cared. So, go to level 3, and it's fun again. And I was like, wait, what? Level 2 is like, level 2 had all this cheap nonsense, and then level 3 is like, okay, here you go, put your skills to the test again, and like actually have fun. What?
I think it's what it's trying to tell you is like it's what's it called? Like it has like think of it as levels. So level 1's easy, level 2 is normal, level 3 is hard.
Except that level 2 is harder than level 3.
Yeah,
That's how I thought it was too.
Level 2 is harder than level 3 because of all the nonsense they throw at you in level 2 of spawning people behind you that you can't avoid.
Yeah,
Are you talking about the bikers?
I made the mistake when I started this of starting with level 2 because I was like, oh yeah, I mean I've played tons of Staar Fox. Obviously, we'll just start off on level 2, and I was like, okay, this isn't fun. Like,
no, it's not.
Because you're right. The first stage, you know, on Corneria, you're like, yeah, this is fine. You know, learning how the game plays, and then you get out in space, and you're like, why is there so much garbage that's hitting me that I can't even see?
Yeah, it's
like I exited the cockpit view so I could just see what was going on around me better.
And I noticed it on Ice's wall playthrough that he was hitting objects and they weren't even getting shut down. I'm like, oh no, it's happening.
Now, level 2 was not fun, man. Like, I'm sorry, level 2 was not fun. Like, if you're a big, diehard Super Nintendo Star Fox fan, you've been playing it forever, you know all the crap that level 2 throws at you, and you probably like, it's not that bad. That's because you're used to it. You have nostalgia for it. Nostalgia is not an excuse for bad game design. If I'm going to go like that, I'm going to say that Lion King is the best game ever made. Like, does anyone believe with that? Like, anyone agree with that statement that Lion King is the best game ever made? No one agrees with that because it's jank. But I grew up with it, so I know the jank and I love it. So.
Oh yeah, you really honestly like that game.
I do like that game because I grew up with that game and learned the jank.
On his channel.
Yeah, I remember talking about that.
Flexing. He's like, behold the God Gamer as I run this game and take one death.
Pretty much, and I still need to do the achievement for taking no deaths, but like, there's just 2 areas that I still cannot get past. It's either one of the ostriches will troll me, not usually, but it's the bat in the lava level. If you don't do the right jump slap, he just knocks you back into the lava, and that's always garbage. That's the only reason why I don't have the retro achievement for beating it deathless.
Most of us are like, there's a lava level in that game?
The first time I beat that game was in my adult life with like those save states where you're like, all right, let me try that again.
Yeah, no,
my adult life was the first time I got past the ostrich.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing cartridge, so no save states. And I was like, I am untouchable. And then get crushed by a boulder. I hate this game. Power off. I'm going back to it.
Yeah. But yes,
I'm gonna be honest.
So yeah,
never played that game though.
Oh, see, my cousins owned it for Super Nintendo, so I would borrow it all the time. Because, like, we had, like, 3 Super Nintendo games growing up, and so I'd go and borrow Super Star Wars from another friend, and then Lion King from my cousins. Like, loved Lion King, man. Like, once we learned that you could double jump, like, the ostrich was nothing. It was learning that you could double jump. We were like, well, there's 2 arrows. Let's try pressing jump twice. Hey, look at that! You can jump twice.
The hitbox are janky. Like, you know, you gotta jump twice, and it's like, oh, you died, and it's like, I wasn't even touching it.
Yeah, it's exactly.
It's like, look, there's the pixels on the screen, and then there's the detect box, and they're not the same, and you're silly for thinking they should be.
Yeah. So again, the statement of nostalgia is not an excuse for bad game design. Otherwise, Lion King would be the greatest game ever made. So, huzzah!
Yeah, getting hit by invisible things in Staar Fox is frustrating. Getting hit from behind by a thing that you can't see is frustrating.
Yep, and that's level 2 in a nutshell. You're just getting clobbered by a bunch of crap that makes no sense.
The biker's weakness is actually just breaking behind them and just doing like a freaking
that's great that's their weakness, but you can't really do anything about them being behind you and ramming right up your butthole. Like once they've come out your butthole and through your throat, then you could break and shoot them. But before that, you're just kind of sitting there a little exposed. Family friendly content right here.
I was gonna say we're gonna call this episode PG. Sorry, kids.
I was a wee little boy and I became a man.
But anyway, yeah, I hate level 2. But I was glad that I'm such an achievement whore that I went through and still did level 3 because I did enjoy level 3. Like, it brought a lot of challenge, but it wasn't full of crap like level 2 was. Like, I enjoy level 3. I want to play level 3 more. Like, I sucked at the last boss on that stream I did. Like, I wasn't able to beat level 3 on the stream, but I went back and beat it later. And it was really enjoyable. But yeah, so like level 1, level 3, like that's it. Like just forget level 2 exists. You'll be so much happier about life if you decide you want to go and play this game after that wonderful summary I gave of level 2.
I'm gonna be honest. The only I'm gonna be honest. The only level that I like in level 2, and you're gonna hate me for this, was the one that you were trying to save the stingrays, because that's the only. If I think I remember. There's 2 stages that the whale comes out. You have to do 2 specific things, but that's the only one that I could remember that I could do it by heart and by muscle memory. Is save the stingrays all the way, and the whale comes out and gives you
Space
all
whale.
of those power up to face off that janky, overpowered, stupid boss.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've been talking about this game for a minute now. We've never even talked about the basic controls of this game. So, it's Super Nintendo controller, D-pad, moves your ship around. You can have it be inverted on non-inverted, I think. I don't remember. I always play inverted.
You can, yeah.
But you have a boost button and a brake button, and then you have lasers and bombs. So, and then R and L are to roll your ship one way or the other. You double click it to do a barrel roll, and it gives you better turning performance for said direction. So it's all very straightforward. It's all what you would expect out of a flying game, and it does a very good job of it. The frame rate tanking can make the controls feel a bit heavy at times, but I've never found it to be a problem overall in any of the playthroughs I've given this game throughout my life. But for people that are more sensitive to that kind of thing, like that is something to be aware of. But I don't think it negatively impacts the game at all because the game was designed around it. So
I consider it as an advantage, not a disadvantage.
The frame rate dropping?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there's some ways they could actually avoid the blasters with the frame rate dropping, and I've seen it in when I played around with it. I've seen it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was playing this game, and it'll hover at whatever frame rate it's normally at, and then sometimes it would tank.
Or low teens, I mean.
Yeah, sometimes it would tank where it's in like single digits, but other times, like when there's nothing on the screen, it'll boost up. It's like you're playing a 3D game. It's like, whoa, this is like so cool. Too bad it can't hold this frame rate the whole time.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing. Like, you play it on an emulator, PC emulator, and you can overclock the emulated Super FX chip, where it will maintain its frame rate. But it feels so weird, and it looks so weird. I can't do it. Like, it just feels wrong. Like, it's off.
When I was looking at that article trying to get some technical specs, they're saying that the first generation was hard locked. They cap it at half of its max speed. So, like, when you're playing this game, you're not even getting the most out of the FX chip because for some reason they made the choice to, throttle it down to 50% capacity.
Wow.
So it's not surprising that you could, put it on an emulator and overclock the FX chip.
I wonder if it's a yield problem. Like, the yields were not working right. So, like, if you tried to run it at the speed, like, it would have more failures, and then you'd lower it down and it would work okay. Wonder if that was probably why.
I don't know. Or maybe it was just about having some sort of a tolerance buffer for, hardware on the Super Nintendo or something, right?
anything
Because
like
if you
that.
try running the thing at 100% and acknowledge that there's going to be some hardware failures,
Pulls too much power from the system, maybe. I don't know.
maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
Interestingly
Think
enough,
of it, like we haven't done a drive-by on anything yet. It's like kind of like the PlayStation 3 having 9 processors, but telling developers not to write any games that require more than 7, just because a couple of those cells are going to be dead out of the box.
Oh my god.
well,
That's the
we just need to
drive-by.
remember the PS3 had good games, but its hardware is a joke.
Yep.
I'm gonna stick to that story for the rest of my life. It's like, no, there's lots and lots of games I love on the PS3, but I hate using that hardware. I hate it.
I get it.
hate loading that system up. Had a whole test gig on PS3 for like 6-8 months, and I was like, I hate this system so much. These games are great, but I hate this system.
And
But
unless you have a
interestingly
hack,
enough, if you have FX Pack or FX Pack Pro, you can overclock the Super FX chip that it emulates as well on real hardware. So
It's funny because this coming out for Super Nintendo, honestly, the game's biggest flaw is that it's on the Super Nintendo. Once it came to the N64, it's like, there you go. It's no longer being held back from what it should be, what it could be.
Yep.
Just the fact it's a 16-bit console, as amazing as it is, it's just constantly held back from being what it should be.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's a technical showpiece in its own right, though, because look at what they accomplished on the Super Nintendo with its weaker processor, because like the Super Nintendo processor was super weak compared to other things of the era. So the Genesis had a much stronger CPU than the Super Nintendo. That's why a lot of games might run faster on Genesis. Like look at Street Fighter. Like Street Fighter 2 had turbo modes on the Genesis where you could play the game faster than what the Super Nintendo could. But the Super Nintendo had better visuals because of the video chips in each, and so like Genesis games have a wonderful art style to them, very unique look to them. But Super Nintendo is just always going to look better to me, even with the lower resolutions. Like Super Nintendo would run at like 256 by 224 or something. Genesis could run at 320 by 240 for some games, and so people would say like sprites on Genesis are smaller. No, the Genesis had that much more resolution. It's not as zoomed in. But it would have been curious to see what Staar Fox could have ran like on the Genesis with a better CPU. Obviously, they might have still needed a coprocessor for it, like Virtual Racing. So
could have been cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's why so many games on Super Nintendo had expansion chips to make up for base CPU being weaker.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the technical limitations, I mean, it's impressive what they were able to pull off, right? Yeah, it's super dated looking by today's standards, but when you compare it to other things of the time, I'd say it's pretty impressive visually.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you consider, like other flight games, that weren't doing top down, things like Top Gun on the NES or Captain Sky Shark, no, Skyhawk. Yeah, sorry. They've got those, same kind of behind the plane type views, and they try to create that 3-dimensional look, but
they
Staar Fox just blows it out of the water.
It doesn't work as well.
So, yeah, it's really impressive what they're able to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even want to go far to say that it's dated. Like, it just has a charm to it. Like, even not being the biggest fan of Staar Fox on SNES, like, I look at those visuals, I go, man, that's just fun. Like, that's fun. I just love early 3D so much. Like, Staar Fox, N64, Saturn, PlayStation 3D games, like, I just love the look of them. People like, what, muddy and ugly? Yeah, exactly.
I just played this for the first time, and I couldn't believe how much fun I was having. It was, like, very creative. At some points, you're going inside, and you're, like, avoiding these walls that are closing in on you. You're helping your team. Your team feels like you're always there. the bosses
they're
it
always
being
there, all
3D,
right.
it was just so cool.
I mean, they're there until you shoot them down. So
Yeah,
they'll
they're
stop
always
talking
there,
to
all
you.
right. They get in the way. That's my other biggest complaint about this game. Like your wingmen are always in your friggin' way. You're trying to shoot something, and here comes Slippy. Ah!
Yeah, I
Let
was
me
like,
shoot you
what,
up the
Peppy?
tailpipe.
Peppy's okay. We leave Peppy alone, but
No.
Slippy is mostly shoot on sight, and Falco is always shoot on sight.
No, see, I had to kill all of them in my level 3 playthrough because there's the stupid blocks that'll swing out and hit you, and you shoot them to change the direction they swing. So I shoot them to have them go where I want to. Then here comes Peppy and shoots them back to the way where they're gonna just cream me. And it's like, no, you know what? You're dead. That's the reason I didn't beat it on my stream, is because Peppy got me killed 3 times until I shot his freaking butt down. Oh my gosh! Like, no. Like, they're cool to have. Like, that's like, we cannot deny how cool it is to have wingmen in this Super Nintendo game that is only 1 megabyte big, apparently, and it's 3D, and it's like, it feels so big even when it really isn't. But like, wingmen were so cool, like just a cool addition. Like, they only would ever have like one on a screen at a time after you get past the initial opening scene, just because of frame rates. But like, they were there, they were talking to you, like, it was cool. But then in actual gameplay, they're just always in your way. They're taking up so much screen real estate. They're blocking all the enemies. And it's just like, okay, just nail them to the wall. Screw them so hard right now. Like, no, die. And it's even retro achievements to shoot them all down. So, doing it.
You get permission.
Use a bomb.
Kill them all.
When in doubt, use a bomb.
Yep, the bombs.
You know what else is cool that like impressed me is that there's persistent damage to your vehicle. So like you'll go to the next level and like your wing is like clipped. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yes. You do not get your wing back until you get a twin laser upgrade again to repair it.
I love it. It actually talks about wing repair.
Well, you got to get good not to lose your wings.
Well, and how cool is it though, just to go from single laser to twin laser?
Yeah.
And then you get it again, and you go to the upgraded twin laser. I don't know what's called in original Staar Fox. It was the hyper lasers in Staar Fox 64, but it turns into the stupid power balls, and we're playing beat 'em on.
Once you get to level 3 on the hyper blaster, it's game on.
Yeah, the game is really designed around you having those too, because it's like, you try to go up some of the later bosses in level 2, level 3 with single laser, and like, you're just screwed. You're really screwed. You're in for a really hard time. Twin lasers, manageable. And then of course, when you have the fully upgraded laser, it's like, all right, you're at my mercy right now. I'm just going to devastate you. And that the game is designed around it.
I was actually impressed what you did on the spaceship with level 3 without bombs, because I'm so used to putting the bombs on that stupid ship, because that's a very hard boss in level 3, honestly.
Is that the one with like the turrets along the bow?
Yeah, the turrets on the sides.
It kind of looks like a transformer.
Yeah. It wasn't so bad, but barrel rolls, it just kept barrel rolling and just trying to fire at it. Like, it seemed to work out okay. When I replayed level 3 to get the retro achievement, then I did use bombs on it, since you had said bombs would work on. I was like, dude, I got like 6 bombs right now. Let's blow the crap out of this sucker. Much easier.
It worked, right?
It was much easier.
But you actually achieved something that I couldn't do anything about that, because I was actually impressed without doing the bombs. So I was like, wow. I was like, you're the first person that actually saw that actually did that. I was like, what the heck did I just see?
Not gonna lie, I wish I had enabled turbo functions for this game as I played through it, because my thumbs just cannot hold up to this much repeated pressing anymore. Well, I don't play Mega Man as much as I used to, unfortunately. Like, it just hurts getting old.
Yeah, you can't just hold it. That's like one of the complaints. It's like, man, I wish I could just hold this down.
Well, I mean, in Staar Fox 64, holding it down became a lock-on shot. So that wasn't in Super Nintendo versions. So yeah, like, if they had added in auto fire as an option, like you see in a lot of shmups of the era, where you could just hold down the button. It's like, man, this would have been so nice, because
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
you can
actually,
fire faster than a certain rate anyway. Like, I don't think
Yeah, I
you
don't
can
think so.
fire as fast as you can press the button. So, like, it wouldn't have impacted gameplay just to have that nice little quality of life feature of auto fire.
Mm-hmm.
It would have saved
Yeah.
and then the weird
friggin'
thing
thumb.
that blaster thing was actually added in Star Fox 2, which
Auto
is
fire
nice,
was? That's cool.
honestly.
I have
No,
yet
the
to play.
blaster thing, the humming little blaster
Oh, the
thing,
homing shot.
wasn't it
Okay,
added?
yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it added on Star Fox 2?
I don't know. I played like 2 minutes of Star Fox 2 and I've not revisited it yet. I need
It
to.
kind of feels like Star Fox Adventures. That's why I was like, uh, the DS version.
Mm,
That one. That's another game that I love
yeah, Star
too.
Fox Command. Took a lot from Star Fox
Yep.
2 as inspiration.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's
That's
another thing about Star Fox. Tell me if I'm alone on this or not, but is it just me or is it weird that this is a Miyamoto game? You know? Because when I think of Miyamoto, I
uh,
think of Mario, Zelda, Pikmin, like kind of these whimsical games, but this seems to be a little bit more of like a not for like, a
War
little bit
game.
more mature, I guess.
A war
Yeah,
game.
it's like a war game. Yeah, and you're in space. It's all
yeah,
He must have just
is it
watched Star Wars that weekend, you know. I was like, hey, you know what? That'd be fun to make a
yeah,
game of, you
yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
I saw the backstory. He
or
said he got a like an inspiration from a statue in Japan that it looked like the fox, and was like, fox, Star Fox, fox. Let's combine it, and that's how it became Star Fox. He
Hmm.
got an inspiration from a fox statue that
that's
was
funny.
like in a temple. I was like, what? I cannot believe it. That's actually the backstory of it. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, this would
But
be a fun history of
it
Mhm.
is
video to
actually
see.
because also like the animals, they're part robot because they're all like the bottom part of them are just robot legs, and the top part are just like normal, parts. You know what I
Mhm.
Well,
mean?
that's because they need to have no legs so they can not black out during high
Yeah,
G
again,
turns.
you have it
And this
look
is
in
all like,
the well,
it's all heavily documented and yet still disputed by Nintendo. Like, no, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
Even though that's exactly how it is. They chop
thinking
off
the
their legs so
children.
they can be better pilots.
yeah, isn't it based on something like on real pilots or something like that?
Well, yeah, when you're pulling too much G's, your blood will flow down into your legs and you'll
Mhm.
black out.
Yep, and that's why I like Star Fox.
And so you get rid of your legs and blood can't go as far, so you have less chance of blacking out, or so the theory goes, I guess. And I'm
Mhm.
happy to be actually on this.
At least I'm glad that it got named Star Fox and not like Star Furs or something like around that part. I was like, huh?
Oh, it's Lilac Wars, right? It's supposed to be Lilac
It's
Wars.
Lilac
Yes,
Wars in Europe.
yes,
Only
yes,
Europe.
Only Europe. And
Okay,
I
so it
think
is
the
yes,
supposed to be
first
Star
game was
Fox.
the first one called Starwing in Japan.
yes, yes. It was actually called Starwing, but then Starwing was there was some kind of other game that I think it was another different game that was called the same one, and
Yeah.
then like you know what, let's change it to Star Fox so that way it'll be not copyrighted.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep,
But yeah,
yep.
Lilac Wars was a PAL thing.
Got it.
I would have been more interested if it said Lila Wars. I would be like, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean I could go either way on that one.
Yeah. I like Star Fox. Star Fox is like cool, catchy, flashy name.
Yeah, and I mean you know exactly what you're getting into with it.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing. Having the
Yes.
word "star" in the title, I think, is more informative than saying like "Lilat Wars," because like
Agreed.
having like at least of the day and age, you know, differentiating it from like what's called Fire Emblem, or the advanced what is it,
Advance
Battalion
War.
Wars series?
It
Because I
was
mean,
the
what
Advance Wars.
NES War, SNES War,
'cause I was gonna say,
Famicom War.
like,
I mean,
because it came to the U.S. as Advance War on the Game Boy Advance, but it was a long-running series in Japan, and I was trying to remember what it was called.
it's just like Fami Wars, Super
Oh
Fami
yeah,
Wars,
like the
Yeah, something like that.
Advance
Yeah.
yeah the
War.
Super Famicom or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, they just named it after the systems that they came out on.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, so I mean, it's true. Having it be named Lilac Wars might confuse people that it's part of that franchise without looking at the box screenshots. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know. I really don't have too much else to say about Star Fox. Like, I feel like we've kind of like touched on most everything about the game a couple times in different areas of this podcast. But
Do we want to talk soundtrack at all?
oh yeah, we haven't touched
Oh
on the
yeah,
soundtrack. That's right. How
soundtrack.
can we forget something so important? Look at Wiz coming in for the rescue. Oh man. Okay, Wiz, you lead us off on the soundtrack then.
I mean, I don't know that I should be leading off on it. I just,
Yes, you should.
I was like, they gave us some great pieces, right? If nothing else, I was like, I love, Will's got the Super Smash Bros. Shirt on, and we get some fantastic Star Fox music in Smash Brothers. Like, who could forget,
Cornelia.
Sector Z,
Oh
just
yeah.
great pieces.
Cornelia.
Yep, Cornelia is a
First
classic.
stage.
The
The
re-listening
other
to the
one
soundtrack, man, that is definitely a highlight of this month's podcast for me. Was listening to the soundtrack again because they had. I don't know if they had unique themes for every level, but it felt like they did. Can't remember. I'm having a hard time remembering. But
some there actually they're repeated.
Some repeat. Like the soundtrack for the game is like 45 minutes long or something like that. So I think there's some that repeat.
yeah,
The one that's actually my favorite track, it will be Macbeth. That's my
yeah.
favorite one because it has like that rock tech beats. So it's like you feel like you're like in that spaceship and you're trying to avoid rocks, lava, and anything you could what possibly avoid while you're like in this red planet that looks like Mars.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the soundtrack. I
it's
thought the
so
soundtrack was awesome.
yeah, it's so good. It's a highlight. Like
Yeah.
you may say the visuals are dated. You may say the game's hard to play. You may say as like the frame rate drops are just unbearable for you. But it's like, dude, the soundtrack though, there's nothing. There's nothing bad you could say about the soundtrack. Like those songs pop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, man.
It's
If it was
so
like a
good.
workout music, I'll put it on, man. I'll put it as a workout.
See, I wish I did know a little bit about music theory to like critique sound design a bit more in certain things, like these podcasts, my reviews. But it's like, nah, dude, it just rocks. It sounds good. It's fun to listen to. Like, got
Oh yeah.
nothing bad to say about this. Like, it's a good time. You can rock to these without the game.
Just
Yeah.
pop along to it.
Like, you
There's
need to look
actually
up
another
Nintendo Music,
soundtrack
see if they have
that
Star
I
Fox.
like. There's another soundtrack that I like, but I think you're gonna hate me for this one again. It's the one where you had trouble with the bikers. So it
Oh, the
kind of has
soundtrack's
like that
fine.
beat that I also like.
Level could be stupid, but
It's
the soundtrack is fine.
the annoying one, basically. But like that's a pretty good one. It kind of like feels like I said, like you're like in space, and that one is like you're trying to like avoid everything. Like I said again, but man, it like to me it brings back my childhood. I feel like a kid again when I see people play it. I see myself playing it like every now and then. I start with third level. I'm gonna tell you that, but
No, see, when
I
I
don't think
play,
it was a time.
go on, keep going.
No.
Alright. When I replay games, I hear the audiobook I was listening to when I was playing them as a kid. Starts playing through my head. It's good stuff. I'll be playing GoldenEye
Oh
and
yeah.
having lines from The Giver going through my head.
That's cool.
Not even joking. Like I'll just be playing GoldenEye. I'll get to that part in the game where you're trying to rescue Natalia from that stupid Russian office building.
So now you can't separate the book from the game, right?
And so yeah, the book will start playing in my head as I'm like
Yeah.
going through that part, like specific parts of the book, and be like, all right, guess I need to go read that book again.
It's like two different things.
I used to listen to a lot of audiobooks as I played games, so There's a lot of weird random audiobook
Those
quotes that'll
favorite
pop up on my head
memories.
when I play old games.
Huh.
And thanks to just another little random tangent here real quick, original Xbox let you do custom soundtracks for Grand Theft Auto. So Matchbox 20 is like, every time I play Matchbox 20, I'm like, ooh, it's time to go play some GTA 3. Let's go. Vice City. San Andreas. Matchbox
Like
20.
offspring crazy.
The most like not related sound that you could relate to a GTA game is like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready to go shoot up some gangsters.
Playing GTA while listening to Super Mario World.
You said Matchbox 20, and I'm just sitting here like Obi-Wan. It's like, now that is a name I have not heard in a long time.
Oh Lord.
Anyway, back to Staar Fox. Soundtrack,
Staar Fox.
awesome. But
Yeah, no complaints there.
10 out of 10.
but yeah, I think we could share just some final thoughts on the game here. So, Staar Fox originally came out on Super Nintendo. It has been released on I can't remember if it was on the Wii or Wii U Virtual Console or both. Fortunately, I think it might have been, maybe not. I think it was. It was Super Mario World 2 that never got released on the Wii or Wii U Virtual Console. That's right. Except for the GBA version because of the Super FX2 chip. But yeah, Staar Fox got re-released a couple times throughout history, and now it is also available on the Nintendo Switch through the NSO app. So it is still readily available for players to experience. For anyone listening to this and be like, all right, I kind of want to try this out now. We're gonna assume that you want to try it out after listening to this, but my final thoughts is it's a product of its time, so it's got some things that might not live up to modern sensibilities, but if you can overlook that, it is still a fun game to play for the majority of it. I think level 2 could be skipped because it's just full of random bullcrap. But level 1 and level 3, I think level 1 offers a really good balance challenge that I think most everybody should be able to get through with enough dedication. And then level 3 will really test you and your skills without feeling completely ridiculously unfair. So, great music, and then, of course, just a very simplistic, hey, they're invading us, let's go kill them storyline. Not much there, but you could get through playthroughs in about 35 minutes to an hour, so, like, it's not a big commitment, but it's fun. It's still fun. I still think it's fun to go play, and I think other people should play it. Minus level 2. But Will, since you're the newest Staar Fox player, why don't you leave us with some final thoughts of yours?
Well, hang on. What about a rating? I'm a rating guy. What would you give it?
What would I give it?
Yeah.
Probably a 7.
10 out of 10.
Probably give it a 7. Like, it holds up.
7?
10
But
out of 10 on the music. Maybe like a 8 out of 10 on the levels. I agree with the level 2's what's it called, BS, but
level 2 BS.
I mean, once you get past those levels, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, level 2 BS knocks it down to a 7 for me. It would have been an 8, but level 2 BS, this is a 7. It's a solid 7 for me. 7's good, man. Like, 7's solid. See, it's when you get down to about a 5, that's when you need to worry.
Yeah, so for me, first time playing again, I was very impressed. Technologically, super impressive. If I played it back in the day, it probably would have been like my favorite game. Who knows? And I think it still holds up. 2025 held up really well, really creative. Music was awesome. The only thing again is just it's held back by its own console, making that jump to N64. I think again, I haven't really played the N64 one, but I assume that really made it push it to where it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. I just said 7 out of 10 for that one. Like, Staar Fox 64 is a straight out 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, that's partially nostalgia too. Like, again, can't avoid nostalgia at times, but yeah, I think Staar Fox 64 improved the game, the base game, in every way possible.
I mean, I would think so, because now it could be what it's meant to be.
Yeah, you get expanded story and everything.
On my scale, where 5 is like the middle, I'd probably tilt it to like a 6.5, even a 7. I thought it was good, if not pretty good. I liked it. I would recommend people to play it if they haven't yet. Give it a shot. I think anyone would like it.
Uh,
I only have one complaint on this game. Just gonna be honest with you. The ending. Because what's it called? Once you go to the ending, it just stays there. You gotta literally reset the whole thing. I don't like that.
That's a
It's not
really
like
good
the
point. I forgot to
N64
bring that up.
when you restart it all over again, it's okay. I mean, I agree with the 10 out of 10 with the 64, but the NES, okay, please. That's just like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
A lot of games at the
resetting it,
time did that though.
yeah,
Like Super
it's
Mario
literally
World does
telling you
that.
turn the game off, and it's like, no, just start over again. Don't make me turn it off.
Yeah,
yeah. So I
it's
was like,
dumb.
no,
It
I don't
is
want to
dumb,
do
but it happened in a lot of games. I'm not gonna fault it for that.
Mm.
that.
Um,
Yes,
the thing I say was like outside of other things we talked about, just as one little addition, the final boss fight with Andros, like so underwhelming. But
Yeah.
which
whatever.
level
Like
though? Which level though?
all of them, they're all underwhelming. All the same. Like at least
That's
in
great.
64,
That's
like
part
for the
for it.
real ending, they added you fight his friggin' brain. Like it's just underwhelming. But it is what it is. It's not the worst thing in the world. Something else to throw in there real
I
quick.
probably would probably
One
have
last
like
little
really
drive
been
by at it.
scarred. I probably would have been scarred in the Super Nintendo version if I saw a brain.
I was
With the
scarred in the
64,
I
64
was
I could
version.
accept that. The
trying to do
64, I could accept that because you were growing up. But as a kid, it's like, wait a second, what is that?
I mean, let's be real though, they wouldn't have been able to handle all the polygons for, like ridges of a brain for the Super Nintendo. Since they didn't have
Yeah,
textures, they
Possible.
wouldn't have even been able to paint it on. So,
Yeah.
N64 was probably the first place they could have reasonably pulled that off.
Yeah.
yep,
Mhm.
That's
that
the
is
other
true.
thing too, is like they actually gave Andros his actual appearance in the 64 version, even though the initial start of the fight is essentially the same as SNES version at its core. But yeah, it's a random improvement. But anyway, Jedi, final thoughts on Star Fox.
Uh, like the only thing that was my only thing.
All right, people
Solid
play it.
game.
Should people play it?
Oh yeah, but the only thing I could say, start at level 1, please. Don't start at level 3. It's only for the ones that are experienced, like Ice would as pointed out. It's like how he said it, and I'm not gonna lie about it. I never played Lion King, but I played Star Fox when I was a kid, and you played Lion King when you were a kid. So it kind of chills out basically. So like you have experience on a different game. I have experience on a different game, so it evens it out to each their own.
Yep, exactly. All right, Wiz, final thoughts on Star Fox for us.
Uh, I think it's worth checking out. See if it's something you're into. Spawned an entire franchise. See what it's about.
Dead franchise.
Um, and a franchise that skipped the Wii for some reason, oddly. But you know, and yeah, now it
Skip the
looks like
weird
it's
game.
skipping the Switch too. But
Hey.
uh,
Star
It
Fox
died,
2
didn't
came
it?
out on Switch. Like that's how a lot of people got their first experience with Star Fox 2. Come on
a port to NSO doesn't count.
now.
Anyways, no, I think it's worth checking out. See if you like it. If you're on the fence a little bit about it, or if it seems like a cool concept, but the controls maybe are a little lacking or something, pop over and try the N64 version. See, what all the love for the genre is about. So,
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Um
Honestly, if you like talking animals, 64. If you like talking animals that just do BBD blah 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 blah, go to the Super Nintendo.
another thing
True.
about controls though real quick. If you're playing it on Switch, I believe you can use the analog stick over the D-pad. Make it feel a bit nicer.
Yeah, I played it with the stick.
Yeah. So definitely a little quality of life improvement, even though you're still only doing 8-way directions. Like, it feels more natural with the control stick, but anyway.
Hey, I actually got one last question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do we think we'll be seeing another Staar Fox anytime soon?
Heck no. Staar Fox 0 ran into the ground.
You think that's it?
Yep,
No more
it
Staar
died
Fox?
on its grave.
Not for a while. Maybe
Alright.
we will see something on Switch 2. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath. I'm not going to get hurt again.
We need somebody in Nintendo to have a really novel idea that doesn't suck. Because you know what? Yeah, using the gamepad was a novel idea, but in execution was so brutal. Like I couldn't force myself to finish Star Fox Zero because it just felt like you were fighting against the game the entire time instead of playing it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no.
not good.
That's kind of
And like
terrible.
everybody who like enjoyed it said, "Oh, you just have to do that until you figure it out." And I'm like, I'm an adult that doesn't have all the time in the world.
Why do I
to
have to
brute
subject
force a
myself to
game.
crap just to get used to it? Like, it's not fun. That's not fun
Yeah.
design.
Amen.
I never played Star Fox Zero. Like, I bought it. It's still sealed in my shelf. I've never opened
You-
it. And then everyone
You-
talked about how crappy it was and showing off gameplay videos. I was like, yeah, maybe I don't need to play
It's
this.
because you play it with the gamepad and the TV simultaneously. One controls your aiming and the other controls your flight. And so you're trying to like chameleon eye look at two screens at the same time.
That's terrible.
Like you're holding
terrible
your
design.
gamepad out so that you can, because if you hold it like this, you're never going to see your TV. So you have to hold it out in front of you.
Oh my god.
So
Hey,
you're
maybe that could
basically
be my new
and
workout
then,
routine,
and then you use
actually.
the gamepad. The gamepad is how you're aiming. So you're like looking around and stuff, but trying to keep your TV in your eye line and remembering that your thumb over here controlling the stick is what's going to make your ship move. Swinging this does not make your ship move. It's aiming your guns.
Oh no.
Well, it's basically a pilot. You're a
Have-
pilot that you're
Like
using the wings.
honestly, it feels more like if they had made it a 2-player game where somebody was piloting and someone was gunning,
That
probably
would
would
have
have
been
been
cool.
perfect.
That would have been
But
cool.
asking one person to do
Ooh.
both is awful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Star Wars looking.
Anyway.
Do I think we'll see one soon? No. Do I think we might see some in the future? There's always hope, you
Yeah.
know?
Honestly, to me, they need to reboot it at this point because Star Fox Adventures was not meant to be a Star Fox game, and they've had to shoehorn in characters and events from Star Fox Adventures into the games that have followed it, even if they didn't make sense to be there. So,
I really want to see what's going on with Crystal and Fox. To be honest, that's my question of the day.
that's his ship
I
right
want to
there.
see if there's romance in the air.
Doesn't make sense for her to have left, man.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but to be honest, my other second game that I like from Star Fox. I'm sorry to interrupt. Star Fox Assault. It gives me that genre. Like it's a combination of what's it called, the 64 and Super Nintendo into one game. That's how I feel it. It brings that nostalgia. So it's like it's two games in one. So it's like yes, it has story. Yes, you're gonna be in single player mode without the ship for a while. That's okay. Uh, except for the annoying missions. I still like it.
Oh man, well that's a good way to toss over the fact that Zachary and I covered Star Fox Assault on Game of the Month back in our second or third Game of the Month podcast almost 3 years ago. So link in the description to check out previous Game of the Month so you can hear what we thought about Star Fox Assault as well. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate having you here on this 34th Game of the Month podcast. We are 2 months shy of 3 years. That's insane to think about. So thank you all for watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, since we do have it available to listen to if you don't want to watch it through YouTube Music and all that good jazz. But appreciate you all checking it out, hanging out with us, listening to us old men ramble. And yes. Anyway, we'll be back next month with who knows what. And would love to hear from you all in the comment section about your memories of Star Fox. But until next time, take it easy, everybody.
Thanks. Take care.
Ladies, y'all.
See you.